Hi, I'm Didier. Welcome back to the lab. It's great to be back after a few episodes from home. La Maison du Whisky, our shop's open again with all security measures, obviously. And so I won't have anyone next to me for a couple more episodes at least. But in the meantime, we are going to continue our kind of online long-distance interviews. Today we're going to talk about a kind of a debatable subject, which is terroir. A lot of people are talking about terroir in the whiskey world nowadays. To talk about this, we have our friends at Milk and Honey. How are you?
Hello, Didier.
How are you?
How are you?
I'm great. Good to be here.
And so let's go on with it. Whisky Terroir. Okay, so terroir is a kind of a French concept. It's a French word at least, and it's usually we relate it to a sense of place in the taste of a wine, for example, or cheese or other products. When we think about wine, we think about the growing conditions, the soil, the climate, even local customs. In whiskey, it's not so clear cut. Now we do have in the aging and the maturation kind of a strong influence on the climate. For example, Kavalan in Taiwan or Amrut in India, where the very extreme conditions kind of accelerate the aging process. Now you take this a step further over in Tel Aviv with Milk and Honey. You have a distillery in Tel Aviv with, a maturation warehouse as well. But you've also decided to build other warehouses around the country in different conditions. Could you tell us a little bit more about that and why you chose to do this?
So, you talked about Kavalan and Amrut. So of course, they used, as a consultant, Dr. Jim Swan. He was our consultant and our first master distiller. He designed the distillery and some of the wood maturation methods. And of course, when he came here, he liked what he saw, because it's a small country with 4 climate zones. We are situated in Tel Aviv, so most of our whiskey is going to come from here. It's a Mediterranean climate city, very close to the Mediterranean Sea, very hot, very humid.
So I think even Tel Aviv is almost like the climate in Taiwan and India. But
different terroir.
Yes, but Israel is a really, really great playground. Talking about the climate, and I think this is what Jim Swan really liked about Israel. We have 4 different climate zones in Israel.
Yep.
So we're talking about Sea of Galilee, mountains of Jerusalem,
the Upper Galilee, the highest mountains, which are cool and dry.
the desert,
just next to the Egyptian border.
and of course, and I think the most interesting one is the Dead Sea,
which is the lowest place on Earth. It's minus 428 meters below sea level. Very hot, very dry. The air is heavy, and the sun is kind of weak.
The temperatures can reach even 50 degrees part of the year. So if we taste the classic,
it's from Tel Aviv?
It's from Tel Aviv, and I think you already feel that it's much older. It feels much older than it is.
And so how do these variables affect the whiskey aging in the casks?
So, first of all, we decided to experiment in different kind of climate zones here in Israel, because we are thinking outside the box. We can. It's fun. It's extreme conditions from place to place, and the good thing about fast maturation, you can actually experiment and see the results in like few months. You see the color, you see the differences in the characteristics of the casks, and this is crazy. If you talk about Tel Aviv, and what we have now here is, what do you say about that?
So in Tel Aviv we have really quick maturation, but I think the differences between Tel Aviv and the Dead Sea, and we have a lot of twin casks playing in Tel Aviv and at the Dead Sea, and you can actually see the differences that at the Dead Sea it's really much more intense, it's really much more quicker, the extract from the wood, and I think that's fascinating and interesting. And
of course the angel share in Tel Aviv it's between 8 and 11%. At the Dead Sea it's around 25%. So we cannot do a full maturation of 3 years at the Dead Sea, but we are playing and experimenting.
I think we will take cask to the Dead Sea for around 1 year of maturation, just to speed the process and then bring them back to Tel Aviv.
And taste-wise, how does that reflect into the final whiskey?
Well, taste-wise, talking for example about STR casks, when you take STR maturation in cold country like England or Scotland, I think it takes the cask about 1 to 2 years to give a lot of flavors and to understand what's the direction of the cask. And in Tel Aviv, you can understand this after half a year.
Yeah.
But at the Dead Sea, it's much more extreme. It's the extract from the wood, the flavors, the development of the
tannins, the spiciness, everything comes up after like a few months.
Yes.
Like crazy.
Finally, would you say there is a whiskey terroir? And if so, how much of that is linked to the maturation?
So we think there is a whiskey terroir, but it's not only the climate and the surrounding, is the people, the culture, and where you come from. For an example, we use Israeli wine casks. If you take an Israeli red wine like a Cabernet Sauvignon, it's going to be totally different because of the terroir and the climate from a Cabernet Sauvignon from Bordeaux. And if you use these casks, it's give you a little different kind of flavors.
Of course. We will release in the near future also the white wine cask in the third year, but
this is the second tier, the elements?
Second tier, the elements, and I think that's very special also because the sherry casks here are specially made for us and it's kosher. And that's very
So this is the second tier. The third tier is going to be all kinds of crazy ideas, and one of them, which is very, very terroir for us, is the pomegranate wine casks. We use a lot of pomegranates. It's a part of our culture, part of our ceremony. We eat a lot of pomegranates here in Israel. It's very Israeli. So one of the wineries makes wine out of pomegranates, and this one was aged for 1 year?
For only 1 year, but I think that's one of the things that it's special only for us. I think we are the only one that mature in pomegranate wine casks, and you can actually feel the taste of the fruit of the pomegranate.
Tannins, the tartness a little bit, and it's very interesting.
Thank you very much for following us. Thank you guys at Milk and Honey.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Didier.
Bye.
Cheers, salut.
And the question of the day for the comments is terroir. So we talked about what it is. Do you know, or do you think you know, what word it comes from? And if so, put it in the comments. If you like what you see, give us the thumbs up, follow us for more, and see you next time.